Alright, if this ends up as a playoff matchup, it could go down as an all-timer, because every game of the season series has gone down to the wire, and this was probably the only one that shouldn't have. The Celts had one of the best starts I've ever seen, and the momentum avalanche they created made for one of the loudest crowds I've ever heard, because every tray had weight. If it wasn't a quick pull, it was a cross-match in transition, or them hunting one in the half-court, and Mobley was one of the main targets for Tatum on the night. He was having his way in that matchup every time, and it was no different whenever he was looking for Allen, so he got to dance a lot. But it wasn't just the bigs, because him and Brown were still looking to bully the smalls just as much. Their entire offense is predicated on exploiting matchups, so it wasn't a surprise to see all the ones the Jays were playing, and I can understand why they continued to throughout, because both of them were making shots. The Cavs even tried to zone up to avoid any switching, but that didn't work because of their ridiculous shooting from deep, and it didn't even matter if those shots were coming off one pass at most, so I can understand why they were pulling quick throughout. But it was difficult to sustain that tough shot making and lights out shooting over the course of 48, because they weren't getting anything easy in the first half, so once it started running dry in the second half, that stagnation eventually caught up to them. That was the opposite compared to the Cavs, because once they stopped trying to challenge the Celts in a three-point contest and cleaned up their turnovers, they were able to slowly get back into the game, and a lot of it stemmed from their inside outplay. They were getting downhill for some finishes, so those started opening up their deep ball, and it was all because of their guards either pushing pace or manipulating those screening actions. They were eating that space against the Celts drop, making the Celts pay for messing up a red, or even doing the same when they didn't. So Don was making tough shots, Darius was getting to his spots, and even Ty Jerome was getting his. He showed why they kept him as an X factor over Karras, because he was aggressive as soon as he subbed in, and that was a big part of them getting their offense going. All they had to do was withstand the Celts shooting, so once they did that in the first half, and even throughout the third, I thought it was their game to win, because they were playing with much better pace. It showed during Don's crucial stretch to end the quarter, and that was the turning point of the night, because that created the momentum for him and Mobley to carry over into the fourth to take control. The Celts were on their heels after that, and it just became a game of buckets, but the Cavs were even better at exploiting matchups the entire second half. The Jays were still able to fry their bigs, so Kenny Atkinson's adjustment was to go small down the wire, and somehow trusting that worked, because it led to the crucial stops they needed in the last 3 minutes. He just realized whenever he gave up size, it was working better than having slow feet out there, and unfortunately for Sam Hauser, he has both, so he couldn't provide the same stops for the Celts. That was the Cavs' matchup of choice for Don and Darius to feast on, so he kept getting fried every time he was brought into the action, and that's what led to the eventual daggers. Just watch the tape.
Shake and bake two-pointer. Got it! Darius Garland.